Hello and welcome to web series. Today I'm going to be showing you CSS margin. I'm going to be teaching you what you need to know about margins in CSS. Looking at your screen, you see my definitions. Margin is used to create space or spaces around elements outside their borders. Now, in our previous class, I talked about CSS borders and how we can apply them and so on. So I believe you already have an idea on what border is. So I'm going to go straight to our browser and you see right here I created a table. So what you are seeing, this picture is inside a table. You can see the four corners of the tables have borders. Then the picture itself, which is what you are seeing here, the house, has its own border right here, black border. Now the margin is what you see. This space is here, this empty space here, this empty space here, and this empty space here. So the margin is created outside the borders of this picture within this table. In the course of the tutorial, I'm going to show you different examples on how you can apply margin, but I just want you to know that these are the spaces outside the border of this particular picture. So that is what margin is all about. So right now, without wasting much time, we are just going to hit the practical section to show you what margin is before I go into further explanations. So let's hit it right here. Now this is the code for that diagram you saw right there on our web browser. So I'm going to delete all of them. I'm coming here to delete all of them so I can write it from scratch so you get to see it. So right now the first thing I'm going to do is call in a table. I'm going to bring in HTML table here. So having done that, we've written our table element. The next thing is our table row. Now I taught you guys table, how to create your table, so by now you already know. So next is our table head. I'm gonna close it slash table header, and I'm gonna close my table row, and I will close my table. So now in between this table header, I am going to call in the image img, and this is gonna be src equal to house. Remember the image is in our folder. It's gonna be house.jpg. So I am gonna specify the width. Let me just specify the width to be 200, and I'm also going to specify the height to be 200. So the width and the height, they are all 200. So now let's look at how this is going to be on our web browser right here. So this is the previous one. I've deleted it, so I'm going to refresh this. So you can see this is the picture and this is how it looks like. So the next thing I'm going to do is give the table a border and also give our picture a border. So I'm going to bring a style here, or never mind, I'm going to come here and put in our internal style sheet. So I'm coming here, I'm saying style, and then I'll come over here and close my style. Having done that, I'm going to write my CSS code here, and I'll say table, and I'm going to give the table border. I'm going to give it border style. I will say it should be solid. So I'm not saying solid here, so I'm going to type it as appears solid, and then I've given the table border solid. So I'm going to save this so you can see it. So the table now has border, but the picture will not have border. Look at it. This is the table border is solid, but the picture does not have border. So we are going to give the picture border now. So the picture, we are going to call it here, and we'll say img, and then we'll say the border style of the image. Img, that's the image element, border style. So the border style, let's say it's gonna be solid as well. So I'm saving this. So let's see, our picture will now have a border. So you can see that the border is very small. So now we want to create spaces between the table border and also the image border outside of the image border. So having done that, I'm going to come here and say margin. This is the image now. I want to give it the border. I will say margin. Margin is going to be 10 pixels. 10 pixels. Now when I said margin is going to be 10 pixels, it means all the four corners of the margin is going to be 10 pixels. So let's check it out. I've saved this. So I'm going to go back to our web browser and check it out. So you can see the top of the image 10 pixels, the left, the right, and the bottom, they are all carrying 10 pixels. So this is how to create what margin for HTML object. So the next thing we are going to be looking at is margin properties. Margin properties. Now the margin properties function in this particular order, which is the margin top. After the margin top, the next is the margin right. We have the margin bottom, the margin left. Now what this means is that you can decide to specify margin for only the top of your image, the right of your image, the bottom, or just the left hand side of your image. And you do this using measurements such as pixels, cm, that is centimeter, percentage, or auto. But in this tutorial, I'm going to function more with pixels and auto. On your own, you can practice how percentages and cm function. Then you get to know how they function. So let's go straight right away. I am going to set the margin for only the top, the right, and the bottom and the left, so that we see how they work. So now let's go here. I'm going to say margin top. That's for the image now. I'm going to say margin top, let's say 20 pixels. Margin top is 20 pixels. I'm going to save this and let's check it out how it looks like on our web browser. Okay, so I only set the top to be what? 20 pixels. Now I want the left to be 50 pixels. You are going to see the difference. So you can decide to set, what I'm just showing you is that you can set your margin directions to be different from what they seem. So I'm going to say margin margin left. Margin left, let's say, is going to be 70 pixels so that we can see the difference. It's very clear. So I'm saving this. Now let's see how our left margin is going to look like. Our left margin, you can see 70 pixels. So you can see it push the image far to the right hand side. So I just showed you how you can use your different margins. So you can set the top, you can set the bottom, you can set the left, depending on how you want to style or design your website. But mind you, if you just put only one margin, let's say like this one now, we say margin is equal to 10 pixels. We are saying that all the corners of the image should be 10 pixels. So I'm just showing us how it looks like, so you can see they all have equal size. So that's that about margin properties. Then we have what we call margin auto. Auto means you are allowing the web browser to decide how it's going to position your image or your element or object. So I'm going to set this to be auto. Let's see how it's going to look like. So I'm saving it. I'm going to refresh this page, and when you look at it, you can see the browser has already positioned the margin, the object, the way it wants it to display. That is, auto means automatic. So now there are shorthands to which you can write your margin with your CSS code. There are shorthands, and this is how it functions. So looking at it, this is CSS margin shorthand method. So you have margin. This is just an example. You have 20 pixels, you have 40 pixels, you have 50 pixels, 70 pixels. Now this one simply means this is the top margin, this is the right margin, this is the bottom margin, and this is the left margin. So when you write it this way, you are telling the browser that this is the top, the top of your image or your element should be 20 pixels. The bottom should be, the right rather should be 40 pixels, the bottom should be 50 pixels, and the left should be 70 pixels. Now this is a shorthand, so you don't keep writing margin, margin top, margin this, margin that. You can use this format. So if you are putting it in this 3 format, it means this is margin top, this is the middle one means margin right and left, the third one means this is the margin bottom. So your right and left is going to carry 40 pixels, the top is going to carry 20 pixels, and the bottom is going to be 50 pixels. And this is another shorthand here. If it is 2, it means these 20 pixels, whichever number you want to put there, is represents the top and the bottom. These 40 pixels represent the right and left. I've already discussed this one when I said when you put just one, it means it's affecting the entire element. So this is the shorthand method. So right now we are going to practice this in the practical section. So I'm right here. I'm going to cancel all these ones that we've written here. Let me remove them. Okay, I'm going to leave the border style. So this is the margin here. I'm going to say the top should be 20 pixels. I'm going to say the right should be 30 pixels. Sorry, the right should be 30 pixels. I'm gonna say the bottom should be 40 pixels, and then I'm also gonna say the left and the left should be 50 pixels. So we are going to see how this will turn out to be in the end. So let me save this and let's check it out in our web browser. So check it out how it's going to look like. So you can see how the different areas look like. The bottom, the left, the top, they are not the same because our specifications are different. So now let's use the order method with just 3. Now the third one simply means that the first one there, which is 20 pixels, represent the top margin. The 30 pixels represent the left and the right. So the left and the right is going to be equal, and the 40 pixels there represent the bottom. So let me save this, and we go straight to our browser and check it out. So you can see the left and the right are the same. The bottom is different from the top. So now let's look at the second one, the third one rather. Okay, let's remove this, and this is just 2. What this means is that the 20 pixels there is simply the top and the bottom. The 30 pixels there is the right and the left. So I'm gonna save this. You can see the top and the bottom will be equal. The right and the left will be equal as well. So you can see the top and bottom are the same thing. The right and the left are also the same thing. So this is a shorthand, so you don't get to repeat margin. So if you just say okay, all of them should be 20 pixels, just the way I explained before, every part of this image will be equal because they will all be 20 pixels each. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how CSS margin operates. These are its functions. These are it can affect your HTML codes. So like I said I was going to show you guys how you can apply it differently, not just on images or tables. You can apply it in every other element. So I am going to write a normal paragraph tag, and I'm going to say check this out. I'm going to say check this out, and I'll close this paragraph tag. I'm going to come here and write a code, CSS code that will affect my paragraph tag. So I'm saying P, and then having done that, I'm going to set the border style of my paragraph tag. The border, I'm going to set the border style. I will set it to be solid as well. Solid is very clear for explanations. So I'm going to set it to be solid. Let's save this and see how our paragraph tag looks like underneath the picture. So roll it so you can see this is the border of this right up there. Check it out. So now I want to set the margin. I want the margin to affect it. That is, the margin is going to affect it outside the border. I'm not going to do much example here. I'm just going to do one so you can apply the rest of the margin I taught you on it. So I'm going to say margin should be 50 pixels. That means it's going to affect the entire it's going to affect the entire write-up that we did. So check it out, 50 pixels. So you can see there's a space between the picture and here and here, they are the same. You can also check out the right, the same, and the same with the bottom. So that is how to apply CSS margin to every section of your element. I know you've learned something. Stay connected right here on Web Series.